Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm answering a Dear Ruth Theresa question. That's right. Today I'm answering a Dear Ruth Theresa question, and this is one that I've been asked many times in my business, and I think it's kind of interesting because so many of us want closure. But I guarantee you the question I get asked more than anything else is, can I get closure from a narcissistic person? And really, unfortunately, the answer is no. It's just not going to happen. I will tell you that dealing with narcissistics, being related to some narcissistics, and just being in general around their energy quite a lot, I will tell you they're just really not able to do that. They're not really able to apologize for something. And that's really what closure is all about, is I'm apologizing for whatever it is, or I'm apologizing that our relationship didn't work out. And so many people are looking for that closure and they just can't get it. And I think for me, it's sad because I know what the person is looking for. I know what they're looking for. They're looking for someone to say, yes, you mattered. Yes, I really loved you, but this relationship didn't work and we've got to let it go. But you're never going to hear that from a narcissistic personality. And that's kind of the hard part about it is we really want like the process or the expression of empathy. Like the other person, like, we really mattered. We mattered in our relationship. We mattered in what was going on, and letting them take their fair share of the blame. Yet that's not going to happen. And I've told so many people, it's like, you're kind of trying to ask for blood out of a turnip. It's just not going to come. But I think so many of us have kind of grown up in that culture where it's like, we want that closure. We want that desire to get kind of like things to a point where it's like, it's over. And the other one is I hear a lot from people is that they're really desiring to hear from that narcissistic personality that like they really did love them. And a lot of times I will tell you that a true narcissistic isn't able to kind of really tell you that. It's one of those, because a lot of times it's not that they can't love, it's one of those they hide that so far down deep inside that they really can't express it. And it's one of those, the more they talk about their feelings, it's one of those, it's more blaming someone else or blaming you for ending the relationship than it is for them taking responsibility for their part in it. I apologize, I was always late, or I apologize for whatever it is. It's always blaming the other person, like, it's your fault, I was always late. You didn't do this for me, so I was late because of that. So it's kind of like, we want to hear those regrets and we kind of want to voice it out in some way and be able to voice out our own. It's just not going to happen. And it's kind of like, it's hard to say that. And I've had so many clients across the room from me ask me, like, why can't I get closure? Why can't I do this? Why can't? And I'm like, it's just not going to happen. They're incapable of taking that sort of responsibility on and giving you that closure. And that also kind of like leads to them always feeling like they can come back. Because we never had closure, if I go back and kind of offer that and kind of like, let's go back through the honeymoon phase and that sort of thing, it, like, oh, they'll think that they're getting closure from me, but I can really use them again. And a lot of times it's just hurtful. It's just hard to deal with life that way. But a lot of times it's one of those, like, if they never really say goodbye, the relationship is still going on, or some parts of the relationship are still going on. If you're the one who's leaving the narcissistic relationship with someone else, it's going to be like very difficult because it's always going to be your fault. It's one of those, and it's not because they don't love you. Like I said, it's because they can't express that kind of feelings out, and they can't live without you because it's one of those, they really don't want to let you out of the relationship a lot of times unless they have someone else already in that position. They're already dating someone else or cheating in the relationship. But it's one of those, because you're kind of that source of like good energy, and you're like, they kind of take your good energy and they give you their negative energy in return. Plus, kind of that negative energy is to blame you for everything. It's always your fault. It's always your fault that this happened. And as long as you meet their needs, they're not going to let you go until you stop meeting their needs. Once you stop meeting their needs for whatever reason, they will usually let you go. And I will tell people over the years, it's once you're ready to let it go and you're not going to be manipulated anymore or come back to that honeymoon phase one more time, they're usually ready to walk out of the relationship, because it's kind of like you've been used up. You've kind of like learned all the lessons. They can't manipulate you anymore. And so therefore it's kind of like, it's over with. I can't go there anymore. And so usually they'll drop you like a hot potato and find someone else to kind of take under their wing. And I will tell you, usually 9 times out of 10, it's usually someone who's younger or immature in some ways. So it kind of makes that easier to kind of train that person the way they would really want them to be. I will say, a narcissistic may ghost you at times without any explanation or anything else, but it's one of those, usually they'll decide when they're ready to come back, or if they've been with someone else and that didn't work out, then they'll come back to you. And like I said, until you close that door completely, they will usually keep coming back in the relationship at some point. A lot of times, like I said, it's almost like they offer you that bit of closure, like, I'll meet you wherever and we can talk about closure. And then you kind of like, why did I ever think they were so bad? Why did I, kind of like that false thinking, because they seem so perfect at the time. And then if you start in that relationship again, all it does is restart everything. It's kind of, once you're ready, once you're fatigued with all of this, once you're kind of like, I'm over this. And I have told many people, I was like, they will stay in this relationship as long as you do. And once you're kind of like, I'm over it, I'm done, I'm out of here, it's over, because they can't get you back anymore. Even if they have a meeting with you and they're like, well, I could give you closure, blah, blah, blah. If you're like, I'm so over it, you don't even care anymore, it will never happen. So kind of the best way to deal with this is to offer yourself closure. Give yourself that closure. Kind of, because you can't get it from them, giving yourself the closure. That could be writing some letters to yourself, writing some letters to them, kind of letting go of that energy and kind of letting go of like what you really need them to say. And you write that I require you to say that I loved you. I require you to say that some of this is your fault. Whatever it is, kind of getting that out yourself. And that can kind of create your own closure within that. The next one I would say is cut off all contact. Like once the breakup is final, it's one of those, and you don't have to stay in connection with them in any way. Like if y'all don't have kids in common or anything like that, break off all contact whatsoever. I know several of my clients that have gone through this in the years past, and sometimes they're still using their attorney or a friend or a family member as the point of contact between them and the spouse, ex-spouse. And so it kind of just gives you a little bit better of a layer of protection, and kind of like allows you not to be sucked back into that energy. Narcissistic people are always master manipulators, and they will do anything, even if it kind of seems like, oh, they're going to apologize, or they're acting like they could apologize. A lot of times, trying to get closure from them face to face is a really bad idea, because like I said, they're going to try to suck you back into it. One of the things is, I think is kind of one of the best ideas is really release anything that they've given you, any items that they've given you. If they've bought you a shirt or a pair of pants or anything else, get rid of it. I had a neighbor many years ago that was narcissistic, and they kept giving me things, and after the friendship was over and I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore, I started letting all of that stuff go, because what it was doing was reminding me about them, about their energy and what they were doing, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a closure to kind of let that go and find a new home. Even if it was something like I was really using, I was willing to let it go. Sometimes it was kind of like their way of kind of staying connected. And on that psychic realm, that energy stays because they gifted it to you. It was part of their energy. And when they gifted it to you, now you've got their energy in your home. And that can be pretty harsh or kind of hard to deal with at times. The next one is take time to grieve for yourself. Really take some time for yourself. Allow yourself to kind of allow that grief to come forward, letting go of that relationship. If you were to jump back into a new relationship, most likely the new person would also be narcissistic. So you've got to give yourself some time to heal. And it varies for different people. Sometimes that could also mean like getting some therapy or kind of dealing with your own stuff. But working through this energy is the best thing you can do. And then, like I said, kind of give yourself time to grieve and kind of time to really work through this energy. And kind of really stop talking about them completely. It's kind of like stop talking about their energy or what they did or what they didn't do or so-and-so never did this or whatever it is, because it's all you're doing is reconnecting to their energy every time you do that psychic connection over and over again. The more you kind of just let this all go and just be like, we don't talk about that anymore, we just letting that go, it makes life a little bit easier. And kind of shift focus on you, because a lot of times if you've been in a really bad narcissistic relationship that has to be broken up, you need to take accountability and kind of shift, kind of like do some healing yourself, kind of take responsibility for your parts of what went wrong in the relationship, but then also kind of shift the focus to you, kind of taking care of you. And like I said, that could be therapy, it could be just going to classes, it could be learning something new, but take that time to allow the grief to come, and then also shift that focus back on you. I'm going to take care of me now. I'm going to take care of me instead of always dealing with the narcissistic energy. That can be a much easier way to do it. One of my next ones is kind of learn about narcissistic personality disorder. There are several million videos out there on the internet. And this is one that can be really helpful to kind of learn some of the stuff. And I often tell people, pick one video at a time and watch it several times and kind of relate that to what I'm saying, what you've been through. How did that person work through it, or kind of what are their suggestions or hints? Listen to it several times over a couple of days or a week or so, and then watch a new video, watch it, and then watch that one several times in a row. That can be helpful to kind of let this energy go. I will link to some ones that I think are really, really great. They really have opened my eyes up, and I often share them with my clients and say, these are some really good narcissistic videos to kind of give you that insight of what's going on or how are things happening and kind of what can I do differently. One of the things that usually happens in a narcissistic relationship is the narcissistic really kind of pushes your friends and family away. Any support system that you could have, they kind of push that energy away. And so this is a great time to kind of start reconnecting to your family, and do it slow at times. Allow that energy to kind of come back on its own. And letting them know, like, I apologize for letting this person cut us off from each other, but now I'm willing to work through our relationship. And usually the narcissistic doesn't do it for no reason. They'll find something, well, oh, your brother's always mean to you or whatever else. And so they're just amplifying one aspect of what you've thought about your brother or sister or whoever it is. And so really allowing that energy to kind of take over and kind of like, I apologize that I, told him this about you, because that was only one aspect of you, but let's get into a healed state. Let's talk about this. Let's talk through it. And that can be really great. To make that reconnection, because like I said, a lot of times narcissistic people will really isolate their partner because they don't want their partner to have any support system besides them. It's like, you're only solely supported by me. I'm the one who does this or brings in the money or whatever it is. Like, I'm the support system, and you have to work with me to do this. And so I often think that part of that is allowing the energy to come in and be patient with you and the other person, and allowing the healing to come forward. Allow that to move forward in your healed state so that you're ready to keep going forward. And it may take some time. It's one of those, depending on how long that narcissistic relationship lasted and how much time you are away from your family, it may take some time to kind of get reacquainted with each other and kind of find that energy of how do we work through this, or how do we kind of get through this, because there may be some resentment on the other side that you let that person talk bad about me or whatever it is. Take your responsibility for what happened and leave the rest alone. So let's pull some angel cards and get us a little bit more insight into getting closure from a narcissistic. Okay, the first one is motion, and probably the best one is being in motion for anything is good. Make sure that you are in the motion of getting healed. Make sure you are in the motion of working through what's gone on and taking your responsibility for it, like I've talked about, and keep going. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it just like, oh my gosh, I can't go on. You got to keep moving forward. You really, really do. This one is about trying or sextiles, and this is all about symbiotic relationships. This is really what the narcissistic person has created with you, is this, like, you are reliant on them. And now that that relationship is over, now you kind of have to really rebuild your life at whatever age you are when this happens, rebuilding your life, rebuilding your friendships, rebuilding your relationships with your family members. And so it's really important to kind of break this relationship off with that narcissistic completely, heal yourself, and keep going forward. This one is opposition, and this is about confrontation. One of the things that's interesting is when you are dealing with the narcissistic energy, they are going to confront you, and it's always going to be your fault, and you have to be prepared for that. Like, if you're the one who's ready to let this relationship go, they're going to blame you. It's all your fault because you don't love me anymore, or whatever it is. It's your fault because you did this, that, and the other thing. So you have to kind of be ready for that. But I guarantee you, most of my clients, when they get to that point, they're like, I don't care who they blame, just leave me alone. I don't care who they tell, I'm over it. And so that's when you know that you're really ready to get out of that relationship. This is Coeli, and this is all about the root. And that's kind of there's a lot of things that come up with the root and kind of narcissistics. There are a lot of things that you can't change about them. This is their root programming. This is the way they've decided to be in their life at some point. And how that happened is not really important. It's one of those, they are a hurt person, and so they keep hurting other people, but it shouldn't give them the right to hurt everybody. It doesn't give them a right because they've been hurt to hurt someone else. It's their responsibility to find help and support for them and to work through it. And that's all you can do, is kind of bless them on their path away as you start making a new life for yourself. This is the fourth house, and this is all about home. And this is really important because a lot of times in narcissistic relationships, it has affected our home, and it affects how we feel in that space, or how we feel secure in that space. So that's really important, to feel secure in your home, and whatever that takes for you to be secure. If that's changing the locks or moving or whatever it is, make sure that you do that. And then, like I said, cut all contact as much as you possibly can. Unless you have kids, then you have to kind of deal with that part. But everything else can be left alone. You can just leave that contact alone, erase them from your phone, never answer a phone number that you don't know. It makes life so much easier to kind of make that quick and easy break and allow them to start their life anew, and you start your life anew as well. This is about serious, and this is all about nurturing. This is what we really have to do for ourselves, is really bring that nurturing back into us. Bring that nurturing aspect that we've been putting on them, and now put it back on us, making sure that we feel healed, make sure that we feel secure, make sure that we feel okay in what's going on. That is the best thing that you can do in this situation, is really open up that energy to making yourself feel secure. Saturn. structure. Change your structure of what you do and your calendar and how you deal with life. Like I said, you don't want to have any reminders of them anywhere around, so you don't have those remembrances of things. But changing your structure will also do that as well. So kind of disrupt everything all at the same time so it can kind of settle back the way it should be. And that's a great way to kind of redo everything. Even your calendars are a great structure to redo, and letting things go and kind of healing yourself and working through that energy so you can become a new person and a person that's working on themselves. And like I said, give yourself the time and energy to do that is probably the best gift that you could ever give yourself in all of this. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.